Hey, it's Jody Taylor of SnackySays.com. Welcome back to my podcast. What's cooking, good looking? Today, we are talking about a couple of things, mostly food, but I thought I would start with my, for lack of a better word, philosophy, which is do what's fun and works for you now. The two most important words in those sentences are fun and now. So let's start with fun. I have been on this fitness journey for a while now. Food is very new to me. It's less than 6 months, like consistently trying to eat healthy. I've never tried before, not really. As in making it a part of my lifetime journey. And it's been frustrating in a word. Like that is the only word to describe it. Overall, it hasn't been fun. And one of the reasons why I came up with this philosophy is because I was so frustrated. And because I wasn't having fun, I was on this mission for a few months where I felt like the most important thing I had to do was find high protein, high satiety meals. I love that word, satiety. I just love it. But with a little bit of soul searching, I ask myself questions daily, periodically, and maybe I'll do a whole other episode about that because I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole. But one of the things I've started doing monthly, starting March 2022, is answering 8 questions from Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's book. You'll hear me talk about him a lot. I've read 2 or 3 of his books at this point, but my favorite is Feel Great, Lose Weight. He has another book coming out that I've already pre-ordered called Happy Mind, I think. Anyway, there are 8 questions, and the very last one is not a question but a statement, and it says, now write down a positive statement about what you consider your top priorities to be. And my first thought back then, 3 months ago, back in March was, it's a high protein, high satiety meal. And I realized, no, that's not what my priority is. So what I wrote down is, I will enjoy the process, and enjoy is in capital letters. I will enjoy the process of becoming my best, healthiest, sexiest, higher self. We don't want any hostages. So let me stop and explain what I mean by hostages. I was making myself a hostage to this food journey, and it wasn't fun, right? It's not like I want to be free. I want to be in this journey, right? So then I wrote, I will plan ahead and joyfully, that's in capital letters, joyfully change things up or rest is in capital letters, based on my gut feelings. So, because I stopped and explained, I'll read that one more time. I will enjoy the process of becoming my best, healthiest, sexiest, higher self. We don't want any hostages. I will plan ahead and joyfully change things up or rest based on my gut feelings. Thank you, birds. So what I came to realize, and you can apply this, and I can apply this. I do apply this to everything, not just food. I realized I was making myself a hostage, and I like plans, I like structure, but I also realized I needed to be willing to change things up and have fun and bring joy to it, and also to rest, right? So an example of that, prepositions, am I right? An example of that would be, okay, let me enjoy this process. Let me experiment with recipes and not spiral if something I make doesn't taste great. I like to do things that I'm good at. I'm not good at cooking. I don't generally enjoy cooking. I'm traditionally an eater. I love good food, but cooking it is not part of my ministry, as a friend in my head, Tabitha Brown, would say. Check out her book if you haven't already. It's one of my favorite books so far this year. and also has influenced me on my food journey these last few months. But due to a series of unfortunate events, I find myself cooking a lot more than I ever have. Hopefully that will change when I live someplace that has yummy food that I can order. But anyway, have fun. That's the fun part. The second part that I want to talk about is now, which is related to my statement. Like, maybe it's working now and it won't later, and that's okay. Change things up. Learn from me. You don't have to be frustrated. You don't have to escalate your commitment. If something no longer tastes good or feels good, you're not having fun, don't do it. Like, it's really that simple. Sometimes, and I'm speaking as much as to myself and whoever needs to hear this, sometimes I commit to something and I'm like, oh, well, I said I was going to do this thing, so I have to do it. That's not true. We make the rules, about what we're putting in our mouths and what we're doing with our lives, right? So the point of all of this is, again, do what's fun and what works for you now. Just in case you're interested, I'm currently a pescatarian. Over the last year plus, I'll go back even further. So when I was living in Korea, which is the before times, literally, I wasn't back in the States 2 weeks before COVID really hit. I pretty much ate everything, unless there was something that I didn't like cilantro. But since I've been back in the States, I found myself eating way more processed foods. And it's not that Korea doesn't have processed foods. It's just how it shook out. I ended up eating more processed foods since I've been back in the States. And as Millionaire Hoy says, I think he calls them food stuff. And like processed foods, they're not foods. I love them. Don't get me wrong, but they are bio-engineered to taste really good and to be addictive. So slowly over the last couple of years, I've cut down on processed foods very slowly in that area until the last few months. I stopped eating chicken, not for reasons that you may or may not think. Again, because I'm cooking more, it just grosses me out. I don't like. There's something about preparing chicken that I just cannot take the next step and then eat it. And then beef, my mom has been talking about red meat for years and like how she doesn't eat it that much. It doesn't digest well. I think she eats it like once a year. And even though she's been saying that for a long time, it was like a gong in my head towards the end of 2021. So I started eating it a lot less. I would say the last half of the year, I started eating it a lot less. And then by the time January rolled around, I was eating it like once a week. And then right in January, I read Tabitha Brown's, what was it, February? Tabitha Brown's book. I'll put a link in the show notes to everything that I mentioned. And she, blink and you'll miss it, mentions the What the Health documentary. I've heard her mention it before, probably on her Instagram, and I've heard of it before, but I had never watched it. I watched it, and that kind of sealed the deal shortly thereafter. So I'm lactose intolerant, so I wasn't drinking milk. I like very rarely if ever drink milk. It's never really been like my thing. But I loved cheese. Okay, I still love cheese, but it upsets my stomach. So all of these little things over the last couple of years conspired to me changing how I eat. I was gifted a really great cookbook called Vegan at Times by Jessica Seinfeld and got a lot of inspiration. So what I want to say about recipe inspiration or like meal inspiration, meal prep inspiration, lunch ideas, YouTube University. That's my number one recommendation. I have just not many cookbooks, but I find that like even what I like to do, pro tip, is borrow the cookbook from the library if possible. Take a good look at it. And if I like what I see, then I'll go ahead and buy it. I did that with the cookbook that I mentioned in one of my newsletters, got an honorable mention, called Damn Delicious. If you are a chicken lover, this is the meal prep cookbook of your dreams. Even though I borrowed this book from the library before I bought it, I didn't realize how much chicken was in there until I had the physical book in my hands. But another tip for YouTube is, if, for example, you are vegan or vegetarian, or like me, you're primarily eating, well, actually, I'm primarily eating veggies with a little bit of seafood. That's just how it's shaken out lately. But I watch all the videos, like if the person is cooking meat, if it's like a vegan channel, because I always get something out of it. Whether it's knife skills, like sometimes I'll be watching, I love these like Imamu Room. It's my favorite food channel. It's a Japanese currently stay at home mom. She's actually in Canada, I think. It's anonymous, so you can't see her face, but she's like cooking. She cooks all types of stuff that I don't currently eat, but I've watched every single one of her videos, gotten plenty of meal inspiration, because I can just switch the protein, or I'll find a new way to cut a vegetable that I hadn't thought of before. So just like my suggestion, if you want to call it that, is to be open and to read everything. In fitness, whether we're talking about nutrition or workout moves, the more I get into it over the last few years and few months for food, the more I find that there's a lot of conflicting information. And so if you're like me, like ideally, I would love for somebody to like hand me a sheet and be like, hey, Jody, do this, 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 and that, eat this, 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 and that. But at the end of the day, you have to do some of your own exploration and experimentation and your own education, because you are you. And what is suitable for you and what fits you, it's going to be totally different. Like even everything I'm saying, you could be like, nah, nope. Like that doesn't work for me. That doesn't make sense. That's not my philosophy. But we really know that through doing and through being open. One of the last things I want to say is that remember that there are always outliers. So you may know someone or know of someone who knows someone who smokes every day, who eats plenty of burgers. And there's nothing wrong with burgers. Trans fats, processed foods, and they're 103. There's always an outlier. There are people who just defy what we think is what we think you should do. Like there are people who work out every day, eat really healthy, and unfortunately, they may be struck with an illness, and it's kind of like, whoa, where did that come from, right? So there are always outliers, but I still think we should try to do. I'll speak for myself. I try to do my best day to day. So to wrap it all up, I've just been talking about having fun in the food and fitness journey and being open to learning different things and deciding what works for you now, because your circumstances or tastes may change, so maybe you're working from home now, and so you're just, preparing meals throughout the day, and maybe you'll be going back to the office at some point or get a new job and be going into the office. Maybe you currently don't have a pet, so you just have like a regular routine, and maybe later you will have a pet and your routine will change, and that might change how you eat throughout the day. I'm just making it up. I don't have a pet. So if you have a pet and you're like, no, that doesn't affect that doesn't affect my meals. Or you may go on vacation. I'm making this too long. The point is, life changes, your schedule changes, your needs change. You may find that one of the things that I don't want to say struggled with, but one of the things that's changed a lot is how much I'm eating. Like I've gone from not eating enough back in January to now eating more, and I've just increased my calories again today. And I'm probably going to go up another 200 calories or so. I'll be hungry, but there's information you can get on the internet. Oh, well, for your height and your weight and your activity level, you should be consuming about this much. But then there's your real life, and you have those factors and other factors going on. Okay, I'm really, really done now. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or concerns, please shoot me an email at snackysays@gmail.com. Again, this is Jody Taylor of snackysays.com. Thank you for listening.